Sorry, I was on mute. Hey, y'all. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me. This will be a live review of last week's episode of Married at First Sight. As I said yesterday, I've been on a little vacay, a little impromptu vacay. I took a little break, but thank you all for being so super gracious and letting me know that it's okay to take a break. But I missed y'all and I'm happy I'm back. I missed the week before last, episode 15 of Married at First Sight. I'm undecided if I'm going to go back and redo that one, but I definitely wanted to do last week, which was episode 16. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Thank you all for joining me. I see you, Bishop. I see you, Marcella. Thank you for my Teacup affiliates for joining me today and supporting me as always. Marcella with the hit the like button. Yes, y'all, hit the like button. Marcella is always the hype woman, and I am very appreciative of it. Hit the like button, comment. I want this to be interactive. Share your thoughts. If you catch the replay, make sure you leave some comments and subscribe to the channel. I love talking about all things, particularly love and relationships. I'm a single woman. I'm out here trying to get chose. Not really. I don't want to get chose. I want to meet the man that God has for me. But in the meantime, I like watching everybody else. I'm a hopeless romantic. I believe in love, and I want everybody to have the best love that they can have. That's what I'm about. I'm about living your best life, finding all things that work for you, growing and going through everything that we're supposed to go through in this life, because there are lessons. There are lessons in everything, good, bad, and different. And that is how we get better. So let's get into this episode. Speak now or forever hold your peace. The couples are approaching D-Day. Decision day is a week away. By the time we get through the episode, it'll be only one day away. And they have some hard choices to make, right? Will they stay together or will they get a divorce? So, through this episode, we see the couples talk to friends and family members about what's been going on these last 8 weeks in their marriages. And they also have their last final date night and moments with each other, because they separate them before decision day so that they're by themselves to process and really decide what they want to do. First, we see Haley and Jacob. Haley confronts Jacob about him leaving. The last episode, they were at this retreat for all of the couples. We know that Haley and Jacob rode to the retreat in separate cars. They are one of the couples that have been struggling, and that's putting it nicely. They went in separate cars, and when Haley got up, Jacob was gone. He didn't text. He didn't wake her up to say, hey, I'm going to get on the road and leave. He just, in the words of Maxine Shaw, y'all know him, a 90s baby from Living Single, packed his raggedy duffel bag and left. He left. He ain't telling nothing. He got out of there. And so she confronts him about leaving the retreat early without saying anything. He says that he was worried about his dogs. We both know they are dog owners and dog lovers. He was worried and wanted to get back to the dogs because apparently whoever he had dog sitting had to get up and go into work and left the dogs there. And when he checked his Big Brother devices, his cameras at home, he saw that the dogs were by themselves and he was worried. I get being worried, but Jacob, which has been part of their struggle for a long time, it's common courtesy, bruh. Even if y'all aren't getting along or the marriage has been strained, if I was there with a friend, even a girlfriend, I would say, hey, I'm getting on the road. Because things could happen. You could have an accident, anything. You just let people know where you are. Y'all went there, even though you went in separate cars, you were still there together. So it's just a courtesy thing to say, hey, bye, peace out. I wish I could have done better with that. Haley again says that she understands, but of course he didn't communicate. Haley wishes that they had a smoother connection and says that she is still figuring it out. No. Quit lying to yourself and others, Haley. You're not figuring it out. You don't want this man. It's a wrap. Next, we see Virginia and Erik. Virginia says that they are getting better at the recovery when they have their arguments. And she thinks that she knows him sometimes, but then sometimes she thinks he's a stranger. She doesn't know him at all. Erik is worried that Virginia still appears to want to run sometimes and is holding back from him. You can tell that in her face. It's all over her face. She wears her anxiety and her emotions on her face, and you can tell that she's uneasy with him. She's comfortable. She's uncomfortable. She hasn't fully let her guard down. And I think she's doing a disservice to both herself and Erik on that front. Next, we see Ryan and Clara. Clara is sad. They got to the retreat late because of her schedule with being a flight attendant. And so they missed the couples game where the couples got to, test their knowledge and see which couple knew each other the best. Clara feels like they're meant to be, but Ryan still has not said, I love you. She says she'll be crushed if he does not love her and if he doesn't say that to her on decision day. She wants him to love her back, and if he doesn't, she doesn't know what she's going to do. That, for me, was just really sad. I hate that she puts, I know this is a marriage, but at the end of the day, you also have to be realistic in the fact that you've known this person for 2 months. So I think she needs to be a little bit more realistic in what her expectations are from Ryan. I also think the experts pretty much did everybody a disservice at this point. You match a hopeless romantic, someone who falls at the drop of a hat, with someone who is very strict with his emotions. The fact that Ryan had not told anybody that he's been in a relationship, even a alleged 2 or 3 year long relationship, that he loved them, would have given me pause if I was an expert on the show to cast him in the first place. Does he have the emotional capacity to really give himself to a marriage? It's great to be a provider. It's great to be a protector. It's great to be an upstanding person. But an emotional connection is needed in any romantic relationship. So because he's not willing to give that, I really don't know, why he was chosen and then paired with someone who desperately needs that. He asked what has changed since they got married. He says his level has changed. His level of responsibility has changed. He now has a wide net of responsibility that comes with being a husband, and he's having to adapt to it. He says Clara isn't high maintenance, but it's just all of the mental things that he didn't know he would have to deal with taking on a wife and making sure she gets everything that she needs and that he is also getting what he needs. Clara says she's become more intentional with her time and her attention. She's living a slower life, and she has adopted his bedtime schedule, which they show the flashback is between 10 and 10:30. So she was a little, unsure about that. But surprisingly, she's like, I've grown to get used to it. Ryan says, I am turning you into an old soul like me. And when they flip to her, it could just be editing, but when they show her at that moment, she looks kind of sad and uncomfortable in that. And I really hate that she thinks giving herself or, getting an earlier bedtime is taking that much of her personality from her. There will be things that have to change and compromise in a relationship and definitely in the marriage. But you shouldn't feel like you're losing a part of yourself. And honestly, I think Clara has been bending a lot more than she probably normally would because she's unfortunately desperate to make this relationship work. And I think if she's not careful, she's going to end up being resentful towards Ryan. And I don't think that that's necessarily fair to him either, because he's not necessarily asking her to do these things. Like their whole issue with the sex and her revealing that she's getting him off every night. I would venture to guess that Ryan is not asking her to do that every night. She's doing it upon herself because she thinks this is what you do and this is how you show love. And unfortunately, when we overextend ourselves like that and the other person doesn't reciprocate, you start to feel like they're to blame when honestly, they didn't ask you for that anyway. I know I've been there, definitely in my 20s. I was a people pleaser. I'm growing out of it by the grace of God and some good therapy. But we have to learn how to respect. I saw a meme one time that says, never overestimate your position in someone else's life. You know, so be you, show yourself, but you also have to pay attention to the energy that the other person is giving. And if you're doing something, you should be doing it out of the goodness and graciousness of your heart, or just because that's who you are. When you do something and you respect something or equal or more in return, setting yourself up for failure every time, sis. Marcella, thank you so much for the generous super chat. You are always on it. That's for your smile. Love your commentary. Thank you, sis. I try to smile and give the people just my good, honest thoughts on these shows. But I think with this one, it comes a little bit easier because I love this show. Next, we see Briana and Vincent. Vincent wants a good DJ for everyone. They're talking about all of the couples, how they think decision day is going to go. He thinks he knows who's going to stay together. But Briana challenges him a little bit on that and says, are you sure? You don't think there'll be any curveballs there? And Vincent says he thinks if anyone throws a curveball, it will be Haley and Jacob. They may mix it up a little. I don't know. We'll talk about it towards the end of the episode, but at this beginning where we currently stand, I don't see Haley and Jacob staying together. I just think it's been too hard. I don't think either of them have really put their best foot forward. I think Jacob has been putting a better foot. He's been more open to change. But Haley, Maurice, thank you so much. Hit that like button. Yes, hit that like button. Thank you so much. I see you over at All About the Tea all the time. A Better Me 21. Yes, I've been waiting on this. I don't know if you have the same name on Instagram. I was actually looking for you to DM you because I had been seeing your comments and your super chats at All About the Tea. But that is my group platform. This is my own platform. So I don't want to take over the group platform about what's going on my private platform. But I wanted to let you in particular know that this review was coming. Okay, back to it. Briana and Vincent says that Briana says regarding their own decision day, you don't know what you're going to do until you get there. She says she was hesitant with Vincent at first because he's very unorganized, but she feels like that is something that she can help him with. Vincent doesn't like her calling him out. He's said that before. He doesn't like being put on the spot on camera, and says that, ultimately in a relationship, you have to work with what you get. He then says that he specifically asked to not be matched with someone who was very direct and assertive. So he was turned off at the wedding when her family said she was being bossy. Briana was very hurt by this and says she never wants to hear her partner says that she does something or that he is turned off by her. Well, I knew this was going to be a source of contention, right, for a lot of people. It's particularly on a racial level, right? Brianna's a Black woman. I'm a Black woman. And I know, especially on a corporate and a professional level, Black women get labeled bossy very much, right? So, my issue with this was that I didn't mind him saying it. It was his truth, just as she shared her truth. And this is something that Brianna really needs to work on. You know, I'm in different Married at First Sight groups on Facebook and fan sites and stuff. And it was very interesting watching the battle, particularly before I had even watched the episode, about this scene and then scenes that will follow that build on this. Bossy is a certain thing. And at her wedding, like they said it 6 times. So maybe her family should really look at and reframe how they talk about her when we're raising kids, especially. We have to be careful with the words we use, right? So I decided to do this. Y'all know I like to throw a little enlightenment education in there. So assertive versus bossy, right? What's the difference? The difference between being bossy and being assertive is small, but highly significant. Let's look to the dictionary for some help. The Oxford Dictionary defines bossy as fond of giving people orders or domineering. Assertive is defined as having or showing a confident and forceful personality. It is the subtle difference that makes one behavior unflattering and ineffective, and the other an admirable personality trait. As adjectives again, the difference between bossy and assertive is that bossy is tending to give orders to others, especially when unwarranted. Domineering or bossy can be ornamented with bosses. Studied, while assertive, is boldly self-assured, confident without being aggressive. I mean, to take that studied out, I was writing something else. So, while assertive is boldly self-assured, confident without being aggressive. So, here's the thing, right? I see someone saying, I feel like he only said that because he was in his feelings. Someone else said he's always in his feelings. He is, right? But here's the thing. He has a right to be in his feelings. This is what I feel like people are missing. Brianna wants him to change everything, and she doesn't want to change anything herself. Sis, if everyone says you're bossy, your mama, your sister, your auntie, your cousin, your co-workers, your friend, that's a problem. And I know we don't like to hear that. I'm a Black woman. I'm a type A personality. I mean, y'all know, most of y'all know my profession. I'm a lawyer. I have to be very assertive, definitely. But I know my assertiveness can turn into bossiness. And everything I said is really the issue. Bossy is when you push your thoughts, beliefs, how you feel it should be done, your patterns onto other people. And that is the issue. If you're assertive, you are strong in your opinions and your beliefs. I keep a very tight ship on me, right? But I know that I can't push that on everybody else. And for me, because I come from a family of mostly women, my grandmother had 11 children, 8 girls, 3 boys, especially at Thanksgiving, right? I sit outside of myself. I sit back, I'm very quiet, and I observe my aunts. And they're going to kill me for saying this on the internet, but it's true. I watch them, and I watch them bicker. We don't get to cussing and fighting and pulling hair, nothing like that. But they bump heads. And I watch them and I laugh because I'm like, y'all are the same. Y'all all want to be in control. Y'all all want to tell everybody what to do. Y'all all think your way is the right way and the only way of being. And to me, that is the issue. And Brianna has shown that over and over. The biggest thing that got on my nerves was him waking up. Girl, if you wake up at 5 a.m, great. But he doesn't, and he doesn't have to. And when you're in a relationship, that is what you have to think about. It's not just you anymore. You have a whole nother person. Why does that other person have to conform to what you feel is right or necessary? Riding on the horseback. It's one thing to say, one, she didn't even tell him. So that was an issue. But two, yeah, I don't care how daredevilish you want to be for my future mate. I'm not skydiving. And there's nothing you can do to tell me that. And that doesn't mean I'm not a risk taker or adventurous or into different things. There are boundaries. So for anybody that's watching, in a relationship, there's give and take. And you have to accept basically what Vincent said. You have to take what you have, accept what you have, and try to work with it. However, y'all, we have to get out of this like fixing mentality. Please, y'all, if you're watching me and you're younger than me, and even if you're older than me, let that go. I went through that in my 20s and early 30s, thinking I could fix someone or change someone. You have to like the individual. And they may have potential. And they may have things that you think need to be worked out, improved upon. But the question is, if they never change, if they never improve, if they never get better, can you be with them? Because we can want people to change. We can think that the change is an improvement, right? She thinks she can better him by helping him become more organized. But what if his disorganization works for him? I happen to keep a very messy desk at work. I'm going to be honest about that. People who used to come in my office when outside was open all the time and be like, oh my God, it's like, paper everywhere. But I knew where everything was in that office. And I could tell if someone had come in and tried to pick up a file or move something or do something. And now I'm super irritated because I knew where it was. It didn't make sense to you, but it made sense to me. So we have to stop pushing our way of life on someone else, particularly when it's these types of little things, right? These are little things. In the grand scheme of a long-term relationship or a marriage, these are little things. Furthermore, well, I'll get to that a bit later. Anyway, y'all, I'm trying not to I've went too far down the path. Let's see. A better me too exactly plays. Bree is trying to change him as a way to fix him, but that's not her job. I love Bree, but she shouldn't try and change him. Absolutely. Wait. Marze says, I call mine organized mess. Yes, I get it. In a relationship, if compromise is from one person only, it leads to resentment. Absolutely. Corey says, I agree. It's really hard to deal with people like him because you never know what will offend him when you're walking on eggshells and not being your true self. I agree. I'll get to it a bit later in one of the other sections that they have. Vincent absolutely as well needs to do work. I just feel like and I'll talk about it when I get to that part, he is more self-aware than Briana. He knows he needs work. Briana feels like she's perfect. That's an issue. Next, we see Ryan meeting with his friend to talk about the marriage and how everything is going. They play pool. Ryan says he knew within 12 hours of interacting with Clara why they were matched. She's very funny and quirky. He says he struggles with the time frame in which they've had to get to know each other, and Clara constantly wanting to talk about her feelings. He says it would be nice to take a break from talking about feelings and just talk about sports and movies. That's a typical guy thing. I get it, but I'm a woman, and I also don't want to talk about my feelings all day, every day either. He wants them to work on goal setting together, goal setting as a family, goal setting with their personal goals, professional, and making long-term goals of what they want to do in life. This for me was a key in where they're so different, right? It's very frustrating for ambitious people to be matched with someone who's not ambitious. And I know for me, that is definitely on my list of deal breakers. We talked about it before one time, I think on All About the Tea, maybe in an After Dark. Things you look for, characteristics you look for in a mate. For me, ambition is key. You know, it's not so much that I wouldn't like or wouldn't engage with a blue collar worker. I have no problem with blue collar workers. But, you know, are they happy with where they are and they never want more or better? That's not going to work for me, because I'm constantly, whether that's professionally or just personally, I'm always trying to challenge myself, become a better person, become a better daughter, mother, future mother, I guess, human, period. I want to do a lot of things in my community, you know, politics, whatever. I have goals. And so when you're with someone who doesn't, eventually they will try to, most times, not all times, but most times, they will then try to stop your goals. You know, I was in a relationship in my 20s when I went back I actually went to social work school after law school. So when I went back, my boyfriend at the time, one day, like, we were having a fight about household, domestic things. And I was like, I'm in school, I'm working, I had a part-time job, and I'm in school, and I had an internship. And you're, you know, fussing with me about cooking and cleaning. I'm leaving the house at 7 in the morning and not getting back to 7 to 8 at night. You're going to take this takeout that I just got for you and keep it moving. And he literally said, I didn't tell you to go back to school. No one told you to go back to school. Ooh, y'all, talking about PTSD. I was like, oh no. And I probably stayed in that relationship another 2 years after he said that. But it was a humongous red flag of, we're not compatible. You know, someone who loves me cheers for me. And they make the sacrifice for this year or two that I'm going to be in school. You know, so think about that. If you have goals and dreams and your partner doesn't cheer for you and doesn't support you, got to rethink some things. Next, we see Brianna talking to her mother. Her mother asked her if she's nervous. She says she's kind of nervous. She was very sure about their relationship, but she wonders what if, like, what's going to happen. She brings up the issue with his unorganization and the fact that he is easily offended. So yes, absolutely. Vincent needs some help, some therapy. He needs to not wear his emotions and his heart on his sleeve so much. He needs to learn how to joke, be a little self-deprecating, have some fun. You know, that's life. You gotta know how to joke about things, laugh at yourself. Her mother talks about the importance of communication. Vincent needs to communicate. He definitely does. You know, I talk about triggers and things like that all the time. Like I just shared one of my triggers with you all. It's on me and you and whoever is in the relationship to communicate your triggers. Your partners are not mind readers. As much as we want them to be, they're just not. So it's on you to communicate your trigger to the other person, especially when you know, they're just getting to know each other 8 weeks in. So he really needs to communicate and say, hey, Nana, you know, I don't like joking like that. I don't like playing like that. However, I feel like he's communicated this particular trigger. So when you communicate your trigger, partners, if someone communicates, or friends, family, your mama, daddy, whoever, if someone has communicated a trigger for you, you have to then respect the trigger and the boundary. Communication, expectations, and boundaries. You have to clearly say, hey, XYZ bothers me. I expect you not to do this anymore, or I expect you to talk to me like blah, blah, blah. This is a boundary line for me. Y'all, we got to do it. And we have to respect others' boundaries. For me, I'll just give an example with my mother. My weight, I've struggled with my weight. I've been overweight since I was 6 years old. And there have been times, I'll probably do a whole video on that one day, of family and people, they mean well, and I've gotten to a place with my therapy where I know that some people just don't have the tools, right? They use what they think is best to get to the person. But I can tell you, as someone who has struggled with weight, the person knows, right? They have mirrors, they have friends, where they may feel uncomfortable or out of place or not confident in their own skin. So you beating them up or constantly bringing it up, um, it's not the best way to be. The way you encourage someone, particularly with something like that, is to say, hey, let's, go get a smoothie. Let's go get some healthy. Let's go for a walk after Sunday dinner today. You encourage them. You offer to be their ally and their accountability partner. You don't just talk down on them all the time. And when I had to put that boundary in place with my mother, to this day for her, it's very hard. And now that I'm losing weight and everything is on the up and up, it's so weird how your mind works. Even good things, I can't really even accept compliments from her, if that makes sense. Anything regarding my weight, I had to be like, you know what? That's a boundary between me and you. Don't talk about it. Good, bad, and different. Don't talk about it. You can say, oh, you look good today. That's fine. That's it. That's it. That's all. I don't really want to go into it because it was such a hard thing for us for years. And when someone is honest and upfront with you about that, you got to respect it. That's all you can do. So if you love someone, you will respect their boundaries. And that's, for me, what I feel like Bree isn't doing in this situation. He has repeatedly said, for whatever reason, yes, he's too sensitive. Yes, he's too emotional, to me and to most people. But he has said, I'm sensitive, I'm emotional, I don't like being talked to a certain way on camera. I think she should do better at respecting that. But again, she keeps saying, I don't see bossy as bad. Bossy is bad, sis. Telling other people what to do is bad. Assertive is not. But bossy is bad. And somebody needs to tell you this. And I'm going to be the one to tell you, since your mama ain't, I like your mama, but she ain't give you no good advice on this one, which is why y'all get licensed therapists, third parties who don't know you, don't know your partner, who can give you honest feedback and really challenge you in your thoughts. Your parents and your friends, for the most part, are going to coddle you and tell you what they think you would like to hear. And they are largely where you learned what you learned that you may need to unlearn. Like I said, I come from a family of bosses, and they wonder why they can't get along with each other. And it's because they are just alike. Next, we see her saying she thinks him saying her being bossy is a turnoff is attacking one of her characteristics. Again, you're doing the same thing, sis. You're attacking one of his core characteristics, him being sensitive. It's literally the same thing. Brianna says she doesn't want to change herself for anyone. Her mama says if that is the deal breaker, she needs to think and maybe let it go because she doesn't see Brianna changing herself from being bossy and assertive. Like I said, I have to disagree. I have to disagree with mama. It's about balance. It's about compromise. It is highly unrealistic to think that you are going to marry someone and not have to change anything about yourself. It's unrealistic, and it's why she is struggling. We all have to compromise in a relationship. And honestly, nobody, no man, no woman, I don't care if you're the most laid back person. I am too. I'm super laid back, especially in my private life. I'm chill, I'm quiet. But someone constantly micromanaging me and controlling me would drive me up a wall. No one wants that. You have to learn how to fight your battles in a relationship. She nitpicks everything this man does. That is an issue, a super issue. Let me see. I just don't like Vinny's vibe. He is so baby asking, let Bree be Bree. Let Vinny be Vinny. Y'all can't be this one-sided now. Team Bree, Vinny is not worth her making any changes for. Vinny would work my nerves. That's only her decision if he's worth it or not. But Vinny is overly sensitive, High Vibe says. Compromise with someone who is compatible. I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe, like I said, the experts have been off this whole season. Maybe they were off on this one. I don't think that they're off. I think both of them can work. I think they both need a lot of help. And like I said, we'll get to it in the dinner scene. Vinny is very aware that he is too sensitive, that he can be a jerk sometimes. Brianna, again, seems to feel that she's perfect. And her parents and everybody else enable her and uphold her in that. That's an issue. If, again, you put in the wedding vows that your child was bossy, 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 that means at some point, really her whole life, y'all have just laughed and giggled while she bossed the whole house around. Nah, that doesn't work. And the fact that she has struggled in relationships, like I said, if everyone says something, you need to take heed to it. Everybody isn't lying. And even if your parents said it in a joking manner or just to let the person know, it's still not a good thing. Next, I talked about that, them needing outside counsel. Like I said, I personally think with a therapist, even in the scenes in the previous episodes with Dr. Pepper, where she challenged Brianna on the waking up issue, she needs to hear it from an outside source. Your spouse is not supposed to be your Bobsy twin. And I also think this might be an age issue. I remember in my mid to late 20s, I thought love was being tied at the hip. Oh, we wake up together, we go to sleep together, we're always together. We do everything together. We go to the movies together. We go to dinner together. It is not sustainable. Even if you love the person, you need alone time. You need time with other friends. You need time to build your own hobbies and interests outside of your partner. Because when you don't, you create this kind of toxic codependency. You never want to be codependent on your partner. Interdependent, not codependent, right? But your partner and you have to be strong and secure and confident enough and know each other well enough to understand those things. So I think maybe just with a little maturity, Brianna can get there, but there's no reason why that man needs to wake up every morning when she wakes up. None. Other than her being bossy and controlling. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. I love y'all. But no one can make me understand why he has to wake up when she wakes up. No worthwhile man is going to allow himself to be dominated to that degree. Bree can be a little tyrant. I agree, Sandra. T, I could have sworn Bree said that she needed to work on being bossy in the first episode, so I'm confused why she's not trying now. Yes, sis. Whitney DTV, hey girl. She says, that'll drive you crazy. Amen. Marze says, I will go crazy. Yes. Deanna D says, good point. Thank you, sis. And Corey says, yep, let that man sleep. LOL. Yeah, like, again, maybe it's because she's so new at it, but baby, if you're trying to be married for a long time, I'm not gonna lie. At 38, as an introvert, I value my alone time and space. I want a partner. I want a husband. But I know I will be like, okay, go. You ain't gotta go golfing and stuff. Okay, have fun. Like, get away so I can read or journal or get up here and sing and dance and act silly. Like, whatever I want to do for that day without you being attached to my hip. Go hunt, son. Go fish. Do something. It's my time for my reality shows. I don't want no man that's gonna sit there and gossip with me about Real Housewives of Atlanta. I just don't. That's just me. If you like for your husband to sit on the couch and watch what you watch, great. I've had a partner like that, and I learned very quickly that that was not for me. It irritated the crap out of me. I wanted him to go look at ESPN or do something else outside of my face. But that's just growth and getting older, like I said. Next we see Clara talking to her friend. Clara says she's becoming more domestic with marriage. She's cooking and cleaning more. She likes having someone to do things with, a built-in friend. Then she says Ryan is almost like a sorority sister. Like, I was so confused. Like, why would you call that man that? Like, what? Then she says he can't run or hide. That was a little creepy. She said the friend asks her, have there been any challenges or concerns in their relationship? Virginia says it's 10 out of 10. She has no complaints. And the friend then asks her, what will you do if Ryan wants to divorce? And Clara says he won't do that. Now, y'all, this is all I saw the whole time. Clara is having a whole tantrum on the inside, right? Like, whole tantrum. And I really don't understand. Like, she's completely unrealistic. She does not know anything about transparency, vulnerability. She's not showing any real part of herself. Thank you, Karen Barber, so much for the super sticker. A Better Me 21 says Clara wants physicality and Ryan wants the connection, the bond. I don't know how she think. One, I think she's somewhat delusional because I'm like, girl, you have already been on camera saying how unhappy and frustrated you are. Did you think they were going to erase that footage? So why, if you're talking to your friend, would you not be vulnerable and transparent and talk about the struggles that you've had? Like, I thought that was the whole point of the show. Like, this is your lifelong friend versus the girls. And then you give it a 10 out of 10. Like, you're only hurting yourself, sis. You are setting yourself up for failure and disappointment because you're lying to yourself. Forget everybody else. You are lying to yourself. Next, we see Haley with her friend. Haley says it's been a long process. She's anxious about decision day. She has wanted to run, but she also has had fun. It's been an emotional roller coaster for her. She's confused. Her friend asks her, has there been any red flags? And she says, yes, the first red flag was his age and that he's still single, never been married. The second red flag was that no big things have happened in his life over the last 10 years that are memorable or things that he's proud of other than dating. And the third thing is that their humor is incompatible. She says the good things about him is that he's loyal, he's a risk taker, clearly, because he's doing the show, and that he's good with dogs. I just wanted her to get a little deeper. You know, it was very surface. I think the part about age and him being single, it's just I just kind of shook my head on that one because I'm 38 and I know plenty of people in their 30s who are single and have never been married. That also could be cultural or socioeconomic, who knows? But yeah, I don't think it's that weird these days for somebody to be in their late 30s and never been married. Um, no big things have happened in the last 10 years. I think that kind of just goes back to the compatibility and the ambition thing. She wants someone who has, had these big monumental things, and Jacob's just not that guy. He likes to bodybuild, eat his carnivore diet, and do IT and work on his house. You know, if you're looking for, like Haley was a traveler and things like that, that's not going to be him. That was mean of her. Better Me 221 says, that was mean of her to say. So what, he hasn't been married? She hasn't either. Haley is such a mean girl. I agree. She, it's a little ageist. It's a little, Mina Hill says Haley is guarded by nature. She is. High Vibe says, I could work with Jacob. I'm a vegetarian. Absolutely. Let me throw this up here. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. But so let me get back into it. The friend says that Haley should stay open and confident in her decision. And what would you do if Jacob says, hey, I don't know how to dress. I only eat steak and eggs, but what about if we tried it after the cameras are gone and gave it another shot? Haley says, I don't know, who knows what would happen? Girl, stop. Stop it. Stop, please. Please stop. Like, quit lying to us. Quit lying to yourself. Quit lying to your friend. You are going to say no and run as soon as you sit on that couch. I mean, production is going to make you drag it out a little bit, but you are not going to let that man convince you to stay and give it another go. You just can't. Next, we see Erik talking with his friend. Erik says that he knows why he and Virginia were matched. He feels lucky. He can see them together for the long term, but they do have to work on some things. They can bring up their heart issues, but they can't resolve them. He has learned a lot about their relationship through her hard past. He's gotten to know her more. And he says she doesn't like how he conveys his point. That's what he needs to work on. Paulette Gonzalez, thank you so much for the super chat, sis. Players, that lip color is popping and your reviews are on point. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So, she doesn't like how he conveys his point. I thought that was a very nice way of Erik. Erik, you got to dig a little deeper than that, sir. It's more than how you convey your point. You give people ultimatums. It's very much my way or the highway with you. So yes, you have to work on your tone, your delivery, your approach. Virginia got a whole lot she got to work on. But in general, even if Virginia wasn't as ridiculous as she is, giving somebody an ultimatum or constantly saying, we can just leave, we can just end it, that's emotional abuse. And especially with somebody with Virginia's childhood trauma, it's always going to be a trigger for her. So he definitely needs to get that together. He says he's nervous about D-Day, decision day. He wants to continue, but he knows he's not her number one or her best friend. He doesn't want to be blindsided. So here's the thing. Should someone be your number one or your best friend in 2 weeks? Everybody likes to say they're married. Yes, they are married. But it's not a traditional marriage. However, what I feel is that Virginia isn't even trying to move him into the best friend or the number one position. I mean, y'all, come on. We can count it out. What is what on the totem? Oh, no, I shouldn't say totem pole. We can't say that anymore. In the list of in the hierarchy in Virginia's life, right? What where is Erik? It's like Virginia's friends. No, I'm sorry. Virginia's alcohol, then her friends, then her dog, then her cats, then her job probably, and then Erik. Like Erik is all the way down here. I'm sorry, I missed her sister. Her sister is probably right above the friends. So it would be like alcohol, sister and family, friends, dog, cat, job, Erik. Like he's at the base of it. And that's not good. This girl has fought for everything and everyone to be in her life but him. And that's a problem. Particularly since you signed up to be married. Like, why did you even do this? Paula Senior, thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, players, I love you. I love you too. Yeah, Virginia has to do better, but Erik also has to do better with his delivery and how he communicates when he feels threatened. Because constantly lording this, we can just leave, is not a good look. Like I said, it's very manipulative and emotionally abusive, and he needs to stop. Next, we see Ryan and Clara. They do the anagram personality test together. I wasn't able to create a slide for that, but y'all go do this personality test, even if it's just for yourself. It's a very good psychological tool. And although I did not like Ryan's dismissiveness of horoscopes and sun signs and things like that, it is more based in science and the hows and whys of human behavior and what things are compatible with each other versus just, I'm an Aries and you're I don't know what I'm compatible with. I think maybe a Leo, definitely not a Capricorn. That's a negative. And probably not a Cancer either. Definitely no Capricorns. They are on the no-fly list. Anyway, they do their personality test together. They are going to meld the numbers together to show how compatible they are in their relationship. Y'all, all I could think of was Clueless on this. Poor Clara. Like, Clara is, I'm not going to call her an airhead, but I definitely thought about Clueless. Some of the questions were, do you think deeply about things? Clara was like, no. Then it was, are you ambitious or a goal setter? She said no. Do you discover and correct your own faults and weaknesses? And Clara said no. Ryan says they're very different and he's worried. I mean, y'all, I'm sorry. I want some of these couples to work, but honestly, I feel like if Ryan and Clara stay together, they both will be headed, unless they do a drastic turnaround, they both will be headed for a lifetime of frustration. I am a deep thinker, probably too deep sometimes. I'm very analytical. That's not necessarily a good thing either. There has to be balance. However, if you are someone who, again, as I've already said, ambitious, you're a goal setter, for someone to say they don't think about these things at all, like, girl, you're a flight attendant. You can't do that forever. What's your next professional goal? And to say that you don't think about these things at all, I'm not going to lie, that would be a huge turnoff for me. Do you correct your own faults and weaknesses? That's also a big thing for me. I try to self-correct. I honestly try to step outside of myself and say, okay, these are things you need to work on. These are things you need to fix. When I get out of relationships, I don't focus so much on the other person. It's like, okay, what was I supposed to learn from that? What can I do different? I've had some horrible ex-boyfriends, but I also know that I wasn't perfect in those relationships either. And whenever I meet a guy and I'm talking to a guy, considering dating or, us courting or whatever, one of my first questions is to ask them about their past relationship, right? And if they immediately start talking about their ex, she did this and she did that and blah, blah, blah. Y'all, sirens, alarm bells, whistles, everything go off. But I try to give grace. I don't just shut it down immediately. I try to redirect. I'm like, okay, I hear you, blah, blah, blah. What do you think you learned in that situation? What could you have done to make the relationship a little better? And if they can't give me an answer, it's a no. Because if you are not self-aware, and if you constantly think it's the other person and not you, world of trouble. Because at the end of the day, when anybody gets out of a relationship, right, you got one side, you got the other side, and you got to choose somewhere in the middle. So if you were to ask my exes about me, they would be like, this, So I don't even concentrate on that. It's in the past. It's done. I don't care what you did. If you cheated, if she cheated, if whatever. What could you have done better? It's all about you and taking ownership of self. You can't control others. So let's work on healing and doing that work before we jump right into another relationship. Because if not, we talked about it last week on All About the Tea with Fallon and Simon that are getting divorced from Real Housewives of Atlanta. And he's been allegedly married 3 or 4 times. You've been married that many times. It's some self stuff you need to do. It's not just the other partner, right? So let's work on that, being better to ourselves, right? Next, we see Vincent talking with his cousin. Vincent says they have had a few bumps in the road, but with their communication, he tells him about the disagreement with Vincent, telling her he was turned off about her being bossy. The cousin asks if he wants someone who's direct with him. Vincent says he has always clashed with people like that in the past. It gives him pause now. And so the cousin tells him to weigh the good and the bad, and it kind of shuffles off to the end. Here's the thing, right? Same thing with Vincent. He needs to figure out, and it's because he's so sensitive and hypersensitive, why assertive people clash with him. You're gonna have a certain. I actually think, and I honestly don't know how you handle that, because I've been with men in the past who like always are on this entrepreneur level. Like I feel this lack of being able to deal with assertiveness and authority is actually one of the reasons why Vincent is now an entrepreneur. I feel like he struggles with rules and authority, period. Anytime a boss tells him something, he feels demeaned. He can't take constructive criticism. All criticism to him is hurtful. And that means that's something that he has to work on. That's his stuff, and he has to own it. So I hope he does. But his cousin is a good cousin. He challenged him. Don't you want someone who's direct with you? Why would you want somebody to beat around the bush? Weigh the good and the bad, man. Don't just focus on one thing. I liked him. That's the type of family members we need, right? K. Lou says Vincent feels judged too much. He is so sensitive. Absolutely. Marze says sometimes people confuse directness and rudeness. Absolutely. T, I think he just don't like a female in charge. I think it's definitely feminine, masculine issues going on, but honestly, I get vibes from Vincent that he don't like males in charge either. He just, anything where he feels like the spotlight is on him, or he's being reprimanded, or quote unquote talked down to, he's going to have an issue. That's that ego, baby. He struggles with it a lot. Next, Virginia is talking with her guy friend in person. That was funny to me. Everybody else, for the most part, met their people on Skype or FaceTime or something. Virginia got men at the house as usual. She says it's been weird to be married versus being single. She values her personal space, and she has had few relationships, mainly in college. I honestly, like, again, to me, this is a fail on the experts. Why would you choose someone who has had few relationships and they've only been in college, which Virginia I think is only 26 or 27, so college isn't that far away from her. But to me, for a show like this, you should not choose someone who has never had a serious relationship over 10 years. I mean, over 2 years, because it will be very jarring to go from being single or from living at your mama's house, for instance, to now being with a partner. And I mean, maybe they are trying to give it a more authentic feel of true arranged marriages, which could be a thing, but I just think about the long-term effects of this. Like when we watched a few seasons ago, if you're a MAFS fan like me, Matt and Amber, Matt and Amber was so hard to watch because Amber was having a breakdown every episode. You know, I think that girl should be in therapy. If she isn't, she'll be in there a long time because the effects of what that 8 to 12 week experiment did to her. A better me, thank you so much for the super chat. Bree and Vin are going to be the only couple that says yes on D-Day. Virginia's going to run. Ryan needs more depth from a partner. You're so on point, players. Thank you so much. I agree. K. Lou says all these people in Atlanta, they got a horrible cast. They did not put much thought in matching. Absolutely. A Better Me 21 again says Matt was so wrong to Amber. I couldn't finish their segments. Absolutely. Sandra says Vincent seems like he's uncomfortable in his body. He very much is. He's uncomfortable with himself, and he's even more uncomfortable since he's been gaining weight with being married. But next, Virginia, her friend tells her it's better to fight than to keep it all in. I agree. She calls a female friend for a virtual call, and Virginia tells the friend that they've had a regression. She wants him to go out with her, and if he doesn't, he wants her to be okay with her going out. She says, when asked about where they're going to live, she says Erik's condo feels like a bachelor pad and his space, even though he's told her it's not. Virginia is acting so much on emotion, like she can't make logical and responsible decisions. Doesn't matter what it feels like. He has told you repeatedly he's going to make you comfortable. He's going to make space for you. And honestly, if this is someone you want to be with for life, you have to get down to the financial decision of the sense that it makes for him to own something and you to be renting. Until he's already said, I will find a new place just for us. So for you to not want to be uncomfortable for 2 to 3 months, even though he's willing to make the changes, Virginia just repeatedly shows she's too immature for this show and for this marriage. She says it's been harder than she thought. She hasn't figured out if she can do this for life. Next, we see Clara and Ryan on their last date night before D-Day. They go bowling. They do a bowling football combination. Clara didn't like it. Ryan loved it because he said it got out tension and aggression. You know what else gets out tension and aggression, Ryan? At least I heard sex with your wife. That's what I heard. It might help. Might want to think about it. Maybe not. Also, okay, y'all know. Y'all see me on like I try really hard not to talk about someone's clothes or their looks. But okay, y'all just indulge me for a second. Did anybody else see how tight Ryan's pants were in this segment? I was completely like, did he grab Clara's jeggings by mistake? Like, those pants were super tight and they came to like his ankle. Why does he wear that? Like, They were skin tight. You could see his wallet or his cell phone, whatever it was, sticking out his pocket. I was like, Ryan, oh my God. Clara says that their compatibility and communication has been the best thing of the marriage for her. Ryan says that they have a unique bond that they have built, and that's the best thing for him. No matter what happens on D-Day, he's happy about the bond that they've built. Clara basically has a panic attack when he says no matter what happens on D-Day. She storms off because she says she wants to talk about decision day in a more positive way. And again, she's burying her head in the sand. Sandra Robinson, thank you so much, sis, for the super chat. Corey says, girl, I said there was no way he didn't have to jump to get in them. Sis, the angel said jeggings. Oh, excuse me. Sandra says Ryan was sporting his elfin magic. The angel said jeggings. Yes. Yes. Like, girl, I was like, why are these pants so tight? Next we see Briana and Vincent out at dinner. Briana says staying together for most of their lives for the rest of their lives, is a big decision. She calls it the fate of her entire life. No, girl, no, that ain't the fate of your entire life. It's one thing. You're super young. You will get past it and through it no matter what happens. Don't put that much pressure on yourself, Bree. I've been there. Learn how to lighten up a little bit. Vincent says it's been a roller coaster. Briana says that they have been open and honest with each other, and they have begun to not shield each other's feelings on things. Vincent says he knows one of his biggest faults is that he becomes a jerk when he's irritated, and when he becomes overwhelmed, he can have a snappy attitude and be a butthole. Now, I see y'all over here disagreeing with me, but I'm sorry. I'm going to give it to Vincent. Like, I love the self-reflection and the self-awareness. Like, Briana has yet to say, I'm bossy, and this is something that I need to work on or change. He at least admits that he's too sensitive and he needs to do better about it. So I have to give him, a good hand clap for that one. He says that he felt judged with the organization comment, that he has trouble asking for help. You know how big it is for somebody to say that they have trouble asking for help and to acknowledge that, and that he shuts down sometimes. I have trouble asking for help. Hello, if we have a self-help meeting here, I don't know how to ask for help either. So I get it, Vincent. I'm not a butthole though to people around me who say things to me. But I definitely understand not wanting to ask people for help and always wanting to do things on your own or for yourself. Briana does the absolute right thing with a man like Vincent. She gives him words of affirmation. She offers him a safe space by saying that he can always come to her and ask her for help or for anything he may need. So kudos to Briana on that response. Briana says that the bossiness turn-off comment was very hard for her. She never wants to be a turn-off to him. But she tells the confessional again that she will not change for someone and he should accept her as she is. She has underestimated how hard this will be and is worried about D-Day. Y'all, I've already said this, so I'm not going to go into it that deep. But her constantly saying that she's not going to change anything about herself is very problematic. You have to compromise in a relationship. You want him to change how adventurous he is, the time he wakes up, how sensitive he is, all of these things. You don't want to change your bossiness. You don't want to change your budget. You don't want to change anything. That's a problem. You're not perfect. You need to give a little as well. Next, we see Haley and Jacob at dinner. They both say that their time together has been intense. Jacob wants to know what will happen on decision day. He doesn't know. Haley thinks she's gotten better at communication and analysis throughout their relationship. Jacob says he's gotten better at patience and fashion. I don't know, y'all. Like, people can say what they want about Jacob. I like Jacob. He got a little dry, corny sense of humor, but I like it because he doesn't take himself too seriously, and he's willing. He's trying to break out of his shell. He has done everything that Haley asked, and Haley has done nothing to meet him halfway. Next, he says that both of them say that they thought Dr. Pepper's exercise, where they both had to write good things about each other, was very good for them, and that they were looking at their good qualities and has helped them in a very positive way. Both are very nervous for D-Day. See, Corey says Jacob has grown on me too. Deanna, why can't I speak today? Diana, thank you, says Team Jacob. Absolutely. Valerie says Benny will be a great second husband. Yeah, I think once he sees himself on TV, he'll realize it. Kay Lou says, I like him. He is no frills, but he is who he is. I agree. And T says exactly he's trying. He's actually trying. She's not. I agree. And a better me too. 21 says me too. I like Jacob. He has tried to loosen up for Haley. Absolutely. Next, we see Virginia and Erik at dinner. Erik definitely wants to stay together in hopes that they are on the same page. He loves her smile and her infectious personality. He has a fear of being alone and doesn't want to lose her. Virginia is worried about their differences. And says that in Erik's standards on marriage. Erik says there is no distrust because of his past. He doesn't want to be disrespected. So he trusts Virginia. He just he doesn't want to be disrespected. He has basic things that he thinks are disrespectful. And Virginia says, well, I need a list. So smart, Alecky. She thinks that their fundamental view of respect is different. And I agree. Because Virginia, you don't respect anyone or anything, and that includes yourself. Erik says, if you love someone, you will respect them and honor their wishes. He goes on to tell her that he's never been in love this quickly. She asks if he believes in soulmates, and he says yes. She says, well, didn't you also think that your first wife was your person or your soulmate? And he says, well, yes, at some point. And then she says, well, that's why I don't believe in soulmates, fate, but not soulmates. What I do like about Erik is that he puts it all out on the line. He definitely needs to work on controlling and issues and things like that. But to me, the standards that he has espoused so far are not crazy standards. I don't know any husband, and as a wife, I wouldn't want a husband that got drunk all the time and fell asleep on their female friend's couch. And I talked about it on All About Tea. I've showed y'all on, for those who follow me on Instagram this weekend, one of my best male friends, he's married, but I have another best male friend that's single. And we used to go out and drink and gamble together, and I've slept in the bed with him and nothing has ever happened. But I got enough sense to know that once I get married, I can't do that. And vice versa with him. He's in a relationship now. We don't do that. There are boundaries that come when you are in a relationship. If you're single, you can do what you want to do. But as a married woman, yeah, there are some standards in basic respect. Clara and Ryan, they show their last night together. Clara doesn't like that Ryan is holding back with sex and emotion. She says she's ready to go to bed, get to D-Day, and then wake up to them being husband and wife forever. Ryan says, big blinks. He is ready to reflect and think through his decision objectively. Ryan operates off of logic. Clara operates off of emotion. It is what it is. Briana and Vincent are on their last night. Taking the boots off was really cute. He says sleep in Spanish, dormir. My Spanish ain't all that, but yeah. She says that it means sleep. And he says, oh, you're learning. You're very intelligent. She says, no, just tell me I did a good job. I want to be validated by you. Okay. I knew what she was saying, but I wouldn't have said it like that. She says she's he says she's doing a good job with her Spanish. He said that he had a surprise for her. Briana wants to know what it is. What is it? Let's get to it. So he tells her to close her eyes. She opens them and he has scissors cutting out one of her braids. Vincent. Now, I don't know what the ladies in the Dominican Republic do, but not the black ladies. We don't do that. And so he says, she looks shocked. He was like, I thought you said you wanted me to help you take them down. And she says, yeah, but not right now. He backs out. He looks very embarrassed. He says he's apologetic. She's over it and goes to sleep. People, so I wouldn't have liked it, but I actually didn't think it was a huge deal. It was one like skinny braid. It'll blend in with the others. But yeah, Vincent, that's a big learning lesson. If I say I want you to help me take my hair down, matter of fact, I'm taking my hair down this weekend. Someone would like to help, please. I would like help. I have a lot of hair. It takes forever. But no, don't touch a black woman's hair. And when she's ready, she will sit down with the scissors, with the water bottle, with everything that you need to take out these extensions, and we'll get to work. But don't do it on your own. That wasn't a good surprise, right? That was horrible. Like, no, overstep. Jacob and Haley are together. Jacob says the experiment has been radical for him. He believes Haley is a good person and maybe they should have more time. They can stop with that. That's just no. Erik and Virginia's last night. Virginia says she has doubts because of their issues and drama. Erik says he wants more alone time and to try to understand each other's needs. Erik says he wants it desperate. He wants her despite their challenges and hopes that she does as well. Virginia goes back to the move-in situation of where she's going to live. Erik again says he will move as fast as he can to sell or rent his condo and get them a new place. Like a child, Virginia says, we'll see. He tries to calm and reassure her yet again. Like, I know people don't like Erik, and Erik has some stuff with him, but honestly, y'all, he's dealing with a child. Like, he's dealing with a child. Let me look at a few of these comments quickly. Audrey says, I truly believe production told him to do that. I do think it was something else too. Kaylu says, when I was married, my best friend stayed at our place and I stayed at his place when I went to DC. We were friends since 12 and my husband didn't have an issue with it. It depends on the person. So yeah, I do think you can still do certain things, but like I said, with my situation, me and my friend would, hang out and go gambling things together and end up in the same bed. Like, I'm not saying it can never happen. You can sleep at each other's place. Like if he came where I live now and said, hey, I need a place to crash tonight. Yeah, you got the couch, no problem. But it's also about talking to your partner and seeing what your partner is comfortable with. And it shouldn't be habitual. Virginia is doing this every weekend. That's a problem. Erik's trying to negotiate one weekend out of the month for him and her. That should not be. The friends should get one weekend, maybe two, but your husband shouldn't have to negotiate a place in your life. Let me see. Yeah, he goes on to assure her and say, I will do as much as I can to get you comfortable. He again says that he wants it and he is 100% in the marriage. We get through these last a few scenes, y'all. Vincent and Briana, we get back to her. She asks how he is feeling. He says he has to go get his mind right before decision day. He's leaving the house for them to be separated. Briana says she is again deciding her fate. So dramatic. But she will be intentional and put herself first. Vincent says he's happy to go home, relax, and spend some time by himself to think. He walks out and says, it was nice knowing you, which I think was childish and a low blow. And of course, that leaves Briana with this question mark, like, what does that mean? And now she's questioning herself and the whole situation. Don't overthink it, sis. He's playing mind games with you. Clara and Ryan, Clara says that she knows what she wants to do, but she's worried about Ryan's level of commitment. She says dating in your late 20s is hard and she doesn't want to go back. She hopes Ryan feels the same. Sis is someone that's in their late 30s with dating. You can miss me with how hard dating in your late 20s is. Like, you are trying to rush something, and that is why you keep jumping into these relationships and being unfulfilled and feeling like you've been used. Next, we see Ryan saying that the past 8 weeks have been impactful, but he knows this is a life-changing decision and he will not make it based off of emotion. He's going to go and think about the culmination of the last 8 weeks and decide what he really wants to do for his future moving forward. Yeah, I agree with Ryan. You know, they have a lot of core differences from their religion and faith practices to their goal setting and ambition. Those are big things when you're going to be married to someone for life. And again, you can't make this decision and hope they'll change. I said in a few episodes ago when her mother said, well, church didn't become important to me until I had Virginia, so maybe she'll change then. I personally wouldn't get married on a maybe. A relationship with God is very important for me. So if I met a man, and I actually have dated briefly a guy who was an atheist, and we had to end up ending it because I kept thinking about what if we had children. Now, denominations doesn't bother me, but you don't believe in any higher power, that wasn't going to work for me. Lastly, last two scenes were Jacob and Haley. Haley says that they are ironically in a better place. She says last night was good and they both smile at each other. I was like, what happened over here? Did y'all get it in one last time? Like, you started it off on the honeymoon. You said, let's do it again for old time's sake or something. I don't know what's going on there. Haley then says that she's anxious. She has a fear of the unknown, and it is getting to her. Virginia and Erik is the last scene. Erik is leaving. He says he's nervous. It's hard for him not knowing where Virginia is in her thought process. Erik says he will write down what he expects of a wife for Virginia. She doesn't like the word expects. She thinks that he should say what he wants because expects feel like it has to happen. I'm going to go flip this one up one more time. Communication, expectations, and boundaries. Yes, ma'am. In grown-up relationships, we talk about our expectations so that it's very clear. Virginia says she has to think selfishly and she won't waste time if she doesn't see it going anywhere. And that is it, y'all. That was the end of the episode. I did not want this to go this long, but I hope you all enjoyed. I really love this show. I really like getting deep into the psychology of the castmates and love and relationships and how we can make those things better. So 2 minutes, y'all. 2 minutes. We are going to be over on All About the Tea. I need to catch up on some Ready to Love episodes. So I may go live again. I can't promise you tomorrow, but definitely probably Thursday and maybe Friday, so that we can discuss it. And y'all, come on over to All About the Tea. Monica has an exclusive interview. No one knows. She hasn't told us who it is. So come on over and check it out. Like the video, comment to the video, and subscribe to the channel. I love y'all so much. Thank you for supporting me. I'm Plez. If you're new here, Scared of Beautiful. Peace out, y'all. See y'all next time. Bye.